Happy 2023! I hope 2023 treats us all better than 2022. And I wanted to share my favorite books from last year, so let's take a quick look at some statistics before we start. As you can see, the moods are pretty much still the same as last year: dark, reflective, emotional, sad. Don't worry, there are some happy books in the mix, but largely I think I'm in my sad girl reading era. The happier I feel as a person, the sadder the books I read seem to get. So my most popular genres from this year were classics and contemporary and literary fiction, which encompasses pretty much everything, so I'm not sure how useful that particular statistic was, but without further ado, let's dive into my 5 favorite books of this year. Swan's Way, or The Way by Swans, is the first volume in Proust's In Search of Lost Time, and it's a work of reflection. Marcel remarks on his childhood and later adulthood. It's a coming-of-age story, a philosophical examination of the arts, and a love letter to the French countryside. For anyone who seeks a break from the fast-paced, constant consumption of the 21st century, this is simply a must-read. And I know I've talked about this book for the 100th time, but I will die on this beautiful French flowery hill. I know the writing is sentimental, and every plant, every flower, every petal gets attention on the way that it's reflected and bathed in the gorgeous sun rays, and I know it's so sentimental and so constantly over the top with its reflections that it's not for everyone. I know that anytime something significant happens, there are about 50 more pages of reflection and there's basically no plot, and I know that this is infamously hard because of that, but nevertheless, Proust's writing is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know it's probably too early for me to say he's my favorite author because I've read 2 of his works, volume 1 and volume 2, but honestly, I just can't get enough of this. And please give this a chance on a very slow day, on a day when you just want to sink into something and escape into the unknown, because Proust will be that escape. So please give this book a chance, and it was my absolute favorite. Continuing on with books I could write an entire dissertation about, 1Q84. So both Swan's Way and 1Q84 are books that I actually wanted to talk about for my EPQ, and then my EPQ advisor took one look at my outline and said, "You're not writing your PhD dissertation, choose a different topic." So in conclusion, I'm writing about dystopian literature. But I just wanted to say that this book, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. We need to talk about Haruki Murakami's magnum opus. Haruki Murakami for me is always a little bit of a hit or miss, but this book just aimed at the target and blew it straight into pieces, straight into smithereens, because this is exactly what I want when I say I want to read magical realism. If somebody tells me one more time that they think that Haruki Murakami's best work is Norwegian Wood, like, I won't judge you for your taste, but I'll judge you for liking Norwegian Wood when this masterpiece exists. The blurb is deceptively simple. Oh, so this woman gets out of a taxi and she's transported into an entirely different world. I mean, big deal, right? You go to any tourist city and you go to the outskirts where there's no tourists, and that's exactly what you see, a whole different world. Haruki Murakami throws curveball after curveball, and the result is that 1,000 pages, because yes, this is thick, it's never boring. Never ever. Just when you think you know what's going on, you find out, oh, there's 3 moons in the sky. Oh, there's little green people living inside her, and oh, she's actually part of a cult. I particularly love the unsettling paranoia and suspense that constantly goes on throughout this book. Like, honestly, even though you don't want to pick up the book because it's so eerie and frightening and makes you so uncomfortable, that's also exactly the reason that you want to pick up the book. It's exciting and the atmosphere is unparalleled. Not to mention, Murakami explores his typical Jungian themes and throws in allusions to music and literature, and the result is, as usual, just absolutely phantasmagorical and mind-blowing. If Swan's Way is an escape into the real world but a calmer time, 1Q84 is your escape into magic. Svetlana Alexievich writes an oral history of war, of women's war. And actually, I have an entire post on my Instagram dedicated to quotes from this book. When talking about the war, Alexievich writes, we usually talk about men's war, so how many casualties there were, what sort of generals there were, and of course this makes sense since largely all the armed forces were men. However, one death is a tragedy, but 100 becomes a statistic. And I really like that Alexievich puts a new take on this by focusing on the stories that people don't want to tell, the emotional aspects of resilience. And she interviews woman after woman, allowing everyone to tell their story, no matter how important or unimportant people deem it to be in the broader sense of the word. Above all else, this collection is human. War is a human affair because sadly it affects everyone and it touches many future generations to come. And the unwomanly face of war is another poignant reminder about the necessity of ceasing to value territories or resources or any other political reason above human life. The fifth season is my new favorite fantasy. It's the trilogy I recommend whenever anyone asks me for a book rec, because this fantasy has everything you want. Not just everything you want in the ideal fantasy book, but everything you want in a new favorite book in general. For example, if you're a lover of fantasy because you like magic or technology or dragons, and you like science fiction because of the same reasons, or because of the exploration of new territories and new worlds and new concepts that don't exist in our world, you'll love this one because the Broken Earth trilogy has all that. If you're a lover of mystery because you like solving the puzzle before the main character, you'll be doing just that along with the main character because the book is actually written in second person. So you'll be finding out information just as Essen does. And what I particularly like is that you don't need like some special knowledge of obscure poisons. Everything you need to solve the puzzle is given in the book. And if you like contemporary fiction because it explores relevant and pressing issues, well, what's more relevant than a book that explores racism and puts a new take on it, meaning that it explores all of the issues present in the real world in this new fantasy world, and climate change. Essentially, the plot is that this world is ravaged by climate change, and once every 100 years there's a new season where the earth essentially just tries to kill everyone off. So there's acid rain, there's fire, there's water, everything you've read about in the Bible, everything you've imagined in your worst nightmare, it's here. And Essen loses her daughter, so you, because you're her, try to find her daughter, your daughter, while the season rains on. So try and see just how long you can survive and read the fifth season. Last but not least, the book I related to so much, I thought it was describing me. It was possibly the most relevant and the one that resonated the most, because Stoner is all about a young boy whose parents are farmers, generations of his family were all farmers, and of course it's expected that he'll go to university and he'll study agriculture. And he does that. But then by sheer chance he hears a lecture on literature and he falls in love with it. And he decides to change his entire life and to pursue literature and become a professor of literature. And the passages about reading and about how special it is, that's what resonated with me. Like, I felt like the author voiced what I never could. He voiced my reasons for liking reading, not all of them of course, but some, in the most perfect way possible. I read somewhere recently that reading a book is essentially a conversation between you and the author author says, I have a message, do you get it? And you say, I do, or I don't. And I just want to say that I absolutely got that message, so thank you for that, John Williams. And I mean, I want to talk with all of the authors mentioned in this video, but I think in particular John Williams, because this book, I want to say it changed my life, but it's not a major change, but it's an inner change, I feel, because I think one of the main messages here is that Stoner died a life that most people would consider kind of sad, because being a professor or just living and reading all your life is not something that everyone wants for themselves, but he was happy. And I think that's what matters, because no matter how little meaning or little impact your life has on the world, I think that as long as you're happy ultimately with it, and as long as you enjoyed it, I think that's what matters. And this book really showed me that. So I hope that this is the message we can all carry into 2023, to feel happy and to do things that make you feel as if you're having an impact, no matter how small, on other people, on the world, but most importantly on yourself. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I also want to shout out some honorable mentions. My special mentions go to Animal, A Lover's Discourse, Jane Eyre, Brave New World, and Lolly Willows. Thank you so much for watching Polina's Pages in 2022, or if you're new on this channel and you just clicked this video, thank you so much for making it until the end, and I hope you stick around for 2023.